Hi yogis, I'm Teresa. This is part 2 in a sequence of videos. In this section, we'll focus on connection to foundation. So let's start in a tabletop pose with your shoulders stacking over your wrists, your hips stacking over your knees, so there's a little space between your knees. Spread your fingers and find that sensation in your hands where you ground down into strong fingers, push into your knuckles, push down into finger pads. Remember, lift the centermost portion of your palm up, so you're pushing into the outer edge. It almost feels like suction cup hands. And when you find that sturdy foundation in your hands, you're protecting your wrist. So the idea is that we prevent injury. Pushing down, lift from your heart. Your heart pulls up towards your spine. Your low belly lifts up towards your spine. So the spine is straight and long. The crown is pulling forward. The tail is pulling back. Then in your mind's eye, visualize the vertical midline on your mat and the horizontal midline on your mat. And where those two lines cross, draw all points of contact on the mat towards that central point. So you start to feel the core engage. You find suddenly that the whole body becomes super secure and sturdy. This is the foundation that we want to have in every asana that we move through, whether we have 4 points of contact on the mat or 1 point of contact on the mat. When we're balancing on one foot, we need strong, sturdy foundation to be able to lift up and expand out. So from here, tuck your toes under and send the hips back to an active child's pose. So with the toes tucked under, the hips melt back towards the heels. Walk your hands forward, but keep the arms extended so elbows stay straight and the forearms stay lifted. Stay with that energetic lock in your hands, pressing down. And then focus on your breath. Start to connect to your deep abdominal breath. Breathing into the low belly. Belly feels big and round as you inhale. Exhale, navel draws back towards the spine. Start to slow your breath down so you're taking fewer breaths in a period of time. With the length of your exhale just slightly longer than the length of your inhale. And notice how just a few moments of focusing on your breath starts to settle down the mind and it becomes still. So just remember that as we practice, when you find the mind wandering, just gently bring it back to your breath. Pull yourself back up to your tabletop. Keep the toes tucked under, but bring your hands so shoulders are stacking over the wrists. And then push the hips back once again towards your heels, and the tail is pulling back so the knees lift off the mat. We're focusing on knees staying in line with the ankles and the hips, and slowly lifting the hips so pelvis starts to tilt so the sit bones point up, the knees begin to straighten, the heart pulls back towards the thighs as the heels melt down. So you might not be able to get your knees all the way to straight just yet. In time, that'll come. The heels might not make their way down just yet, but you'll get closer and closer every time you practice. And some people have anatomy with the bones in your ankles that will prevent the heels from ever touching the earth. So we're just working with what we have here. Try not to have any judgment, especially against yourself. Focus on your breath and then connect again to that foundation of pushing down and pulling everything towards center. So you really feel the entire body working together to hold you up. Beautiful. Gaze forward between your hands and shift forward to a high plank. So shoulders are over the wrists, the hips drop down to the height of the shoulders. Still, tail is pulling back, crown is pulling forward. Inhale and shift forward so shoulders come beyond the wrists in line with fingertips. And then drop the knees, drop the top of the feet, gaze is forward. Hinging at your elbows will pass right through chaturanga, lowering all the way down. Heart touches the mat before the navel. Then slide your hands forward so they're right underneath your shoulders. The fingertips are in line with shoulder tips, forehead to the mat.
big toe reaching back. And then with your elbows, pull back towards your hips so that you can feel the shoulders pulling away from the ears. On an inhale, lift the forehead off the mat. Pull the elbows back so you lift up to a cobra spine. Take a deep breath in and then exhale as you lower. Inhale, lifting up to your cobra spine. Exhale as you lower. So think of the crown of the head being an extension of the spine. Lengthen as you inhale, lift the forehead, lengthen the spine, pull the elbows back so shoulders stay down away from the ears. Deep breath in, exhale as you lower. Nice. Slide the hands back just slightly so that they're in line with your low ribs. The fingers are still pointed forward. The elbows are still tucked in towards your ribs. And then pulling the elbows back so shoulders stay away from the ears. Inhale up to your cobra and press the elbows all the way to straight. So now we've lifted the pelvis off the mat. Shoulders are still down away from the ears. Crown lifting up, lengthening the spine. Then engaging the legs, push into the top of the feet and lift knees and thighs. We find upward facing dog. Deep breath in, the heart pulls forward, crown lifts high. And then exhale as you lower. Keep the shoulders down away from the ears as you slowly lower with control. Forehead to the mat. Then pushing back to your tabletop, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Gaze is forward, and we take little baby steps forward with straight-ish legs to the top edge of the mat. Feet stay parallel to one another, hip distance apart. Bring a little bend into your knee so that you can feel your low belly. Your hip crease closes and low belly rests on your thighs. Hold opposite elbows here, relaxing the neck. Soften your face. Let the spine lengthen, let the back of the legs lengthen. Let your head dangle, so maybe shaking the head yes and no. Maybe rocking yourself very gently from side to side. Then connect to the energy in the body. Feel your feet. Push down into the big toe. Push down with equal pressure into your heel. And then lifting the arch of the foot, feel that the outside edge almost feels like it grips the mat, so you've got this energetic lock in your feet. The energy in the body in this simplest of asana. See if you can still your mind and find a deep mind-body connection. Focus on your breath. Then releasing your arms. Push down into the feet to lift up. So very slowly rolling up one vertebra at a time. Head is the last thing that rises. Strong in the feet. Legs are engaged, kneecaps are lifting up, engaging the quadriceps. Low belly is pulling back towards the spine as the tail pulls down towards the space between your heels. The heart is lifting as shoulders roll back and down. The crown is lifting, so the spine is tall and straight. Then moving with your breath, inhale, lift the arms up overhead, turning the eye gaze up between your hands. Stay with that energy in your feet, but send your hips forward. Now, resist collapsing into your back body. Think more just expanding, lengthening the front body. So lift your heart up, lift your eye gaze up, then bring the biceps back to frame your ears. Inhale back to center and exhale as you fold forward over the legs, bending into your knees if you have to. Hands come wide of your feet so fingers are in line with your toes. Inhale, halfway lengthening and straightening your spine. Then on your exhale, step back to high plank. Find that foundation. Everything pulls in towards center. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, 90-degree elbows, chaturanga. Holding it there, always dropping your knees if you have to. Inhale forward to your cobra or your upward facing dog. Deep breath in, and with your exhale, bring it back to downward facing dog. Melt the heels back and down. Twist the sit bones up. Pull your heart back towards your thighs. stay with the energy in your hands, protecting your wrists, and push down. Everything's drawing in towards center. Soften your face, connected to your breath. So from here, you can come back to the top of the mat, come back to Tadasana and do it all again, and you can do it over and over and over again.
Thank you so much for joining me, yogis. Namaste.